In the middle of the night, a man is seen driving his truck through a calm and serene desert. After covering some distance, he pulls over and steps out to relieve himself. Suddenly, the music player inside the truck starts malfunctioning and the headlights begin flickering erratically, catching his attention. Just then, a burning object falls from outer space and crashes into the ground in the distance. Curious and alarmed, the man grabs his flashlight and heads toward the crash site. When he arrives, he discovers a large, mysterious vessel lying on the ground, with a tiny spherical object inside it. Unaware of the danger, he takes a picture. But in the next moment, a towering, monstrous alien creature rises before him, forcing him to flee in terror. Panicking, the man jumps back into his truck and speeds away, believing he has escaped. However, within seconds, the creature lunges at the vehicle. A tentacle shoots forward, grabs him, and drains the blood out of his body in an instant. Days later, a man named Roth arrives in the same desert on an ATV, the very place where the horrifying incident occurred. He reaches a cave, unloads his belongings, and sets them down. As he walks away, he fails to notice a strange, slimy substance lurking near his gear. Mr. Burt is furious with his wife Claire for firing their guide Greg. He warns her that heading into the desert without a proper guide is dangerous. However, Claire points out that they cannot afford to hire one. She suggests taking Roth as their guide instead, but Burt is clearly unhappy with the idea. Still, he eventually gives in to his stubborn wife. Claire asks Summer about Roth's whereabouts as the campers are already on their way. Summer assures her that Roth is on his way as well. Not long after, Roth arrives on his ATV. He steps off and apologizes to Claire for being late, but she quickly brushes it aside and tells him that she needs him to act as their guide on the upcoming trip. Taken aback, Roth altercates, saying that he is the same age as the campers and doubts they will listen to him. Claire, however, insists that they are short-staffed and orders him to join them as their guide. With no other option, Roth reluctantly agrees. Inside the cabin, Roth sees his family photograph. He looks at it with a sense of longing, revealing that his parents passed away when he was young and that he has been raised by Bert and Claire ever since. A little while later, a helicopter arrives carrying a group of friends. Claire welcomes the hikers and introduces the team, explaining that Roth will be their assistant trail guide, while Bert will serve as the primary guide. Among the group is a cocky young man named Tapper. He casually drops his belongings and walks away. Bert doesn't like his attitude and orders him to carry his own gear. Irritated, Tapper mockingly calls him Pops, which Bert clearly dislikes. In response, Bert quickly takes him down, forcing Claire to step in and defuse the situation. Claire approaches Tom, the helicopter pilot. Tom informs her that the office has instructed him not to make the supply drop on Wednesday unless her account is settled. Claire admits she's facing some cash flow problems, but assures him that she will be back in the black after this trip. Understanding her situation, Tom nods, boards the helicopter, and flies away. Courtney is changing her clothes when Roth unknowingly walks into the camp carrying a box. Embarrassed, he immediately apologizes and steps out. Later, as Roth helps the campers gather their gear, Trapper behaves rudely toward him, prompting Bert to step in and pull them apart. Soon, the group sets off toward the cave under the guidance of Bert, Claire, and Roth. While walking, Courtney, despite being ahead of Roth, accuses him of staring at her. Confused, Roth moves ahead of her so she can feel at ease. As they move deeper into the wilderness, they come across a herd of wild horses. The overconfident Trapper steps forward and startles them, causing the entire herd to scatter. As night falls, everyone, including Claire, Bert, and Roth, sets up temporary shelters and settles in. Meanwhile, Lewis, a biology student, stays awake, sketching in his notebook. Suddenly, his music player starts emitting static, putting him on edge. Seconds later, he hears horses neighing frantically outside. Alerted, Lewis and Bert rush out of the shelter, only to find the horses stamping wildly. The chaos wakes everyone, and they scramble out, hiding in the bushes to avoid being trampled. After a tense few moments, the herd leaves. Trapper, furious, lashes out at Bert, blaming him for putting their lives at risk. Claire steps in and calms him down, reminding everyone that they are in the wild, where unpredictable things are bound to happen. As they gather their belongings, Courtney, Roth, Mika, and the others hear a distant, eerie scream. They hesitate for a moment but ultimately ignore it and continue toward the cave. A little later, the group stumbles upon a massive, mysterious object half buried in the desert. They speculate about its origin. Some think it's a classified government experiment, others say it could be a satellite or even part of a bomb. While the group debates, Bert calls Claire over to show her something unusual. Nearby, Roth discovers a cell phone buried under the debris. As Claire and Bert approach a wrecked truck, they realize it belongs to Lenny, their friend. Bert gets closer to the truck and freezes. Lenny's lifeless body sits inside, completely drained, his corpse already beginning to decay. Sensing that something terrible has happened, Bert insists they must go back, but Clare strongly opposes the idea, pointing out that they are already 2 days away from base camp. She tries to rationalize the situation, suggesting that a coyote or some other wild animal might have attacked Lenny. However, Bert isn't convinced and continues to push for returning. That's when Clare drops a shocking revelation: if he goes back, he could end up behind bars. Clare explains that there's an ongoing lawsuit against him, under which he was strictly forbidden from hurting any of the campers, but he already violated that by hurting Trapper. Later that night, Roth scrolls through the phone and realizes it belongs to Lenny and shows it to Bert. Trapper decides to go alone into the wilderness to relieve himself. Bert, uneasy, sends Roth to accompany him, but Trapper refuses and shoves Roth to the ground. Just as things are about to escalate, Clare steps in and stops Roth. Bert, frustrated, scolds Roth for not following his orders. Roth explains that Trapper didn't want him there. Left with no choice, Bert heads into the desert himself. He soon finds Trapper and stands guard until Trapper relieves himself. Just as Trapper lowers his pants, he senses something lurking nearby. Before he can react, a horrifying alien creature suddenly appears out of nowhere. Bert charges in, distracting the creature and giving Roth a chance to escape. In response, the alien lashes out with its tentacle, violently attacking Bert. Hearing terrifying screams echo through the forest, Roth runs back, only to witness a gruesome sight: his uncle being drained by the monstrous creature. Moments later, the creature vanishes into the darkness. Roth approaches, trembling, but it's too late. Bert is already dead. And just then, Clare arrives, only to find her husband lying lifeless on the ground. The other campers soon gather and grieve Bert's passing. Panic begins to circulate as they interrogate Roth about who might have been responsible for his death. Roth snaps at them to stay quiet and explains that there's a cave a couple of miles away, stocked with emergency supplies. He decides they will head there tonight to regroup and return to base camp in the morning. Under the cover of darkness, the group makes their way toward the cave. After a long and exhausting journey, they finally reach it. Inside, Roth attempts to contact Lenny over the radio, unaware that Lenny is already dead. As he sits down to relieve himself, his foot lands on a strange, slimy substance. At the same time, the radios and phones begin malfunctioning. Moments later, their fear turns into reality as they spot the creature standing right in front of them in the darkness. Panic erupts. Everyone rushes toward the exit, desperate to escape, while the creature relentlessly chases them. In the chaos, Weiss falls to the ground, and before anyone can react, the alien drags him away. Roth tries to go after him, but Courtney stops him, insisting there's nothing they can do and urging him to run. Somehow, the remaining campers manage to reach the cave's exit. Outside, Trapper asks Roth if the creature can be killed. Roth grimly replies that it can't. They return to the crash site and make a horrifying discovery: the massive vessel is actually an egg. From this, they conclude that the alien is female. Following a trail up the hill, Roth discovers Lenny's wrecked vehicle with his decaying body still inside. Furious, he confronts Clare, accusing her of hiding the truth. Clare insists she had no idea, but Roth doesn't believe her and walks away. From that moment on, Roth takes charge, leading the group from the front, determined to get everyone out of this nightmare alive. Exhausted and shaken, they finally make it back to base camp. Trapper checks his phone, but there's still no signal, pushing him to the brink. Clare then informs Courtney that a rescue chopper is expected to arrive the next morning at 8 a.m. Roth sits with Bert's gun when Trapper approaches him and mocks him, saying he is nothing without his gun. Moments later, chaos erupts as the alien mother, burning with vengeance, arrives. Roth immediately opens fire, but to everyone's horror, the creature is completely immune to the bullets. Roth barely manages to get inside in time, slamming the door shut behind him. But then he realizes Clare and Mika are still outside. They have sought refuge in a different cabin, trying to stay out of sight from the creature. The alien mother starts approaching them. Recognizing the threat to their lives, Roth instructs Courtney to unlock the door, but Trapper disagrees. Just as the creature is about to tear the cabin apart, Clare and Mika make a run for it. They sprint toward Roth's cabin, but Trapper still doesn't open the door. With no time left, Roth lashes out and strikes Trapper with a hoe, knocking him unconscious. Mika manages to slip inside, but Clare gets stuck at the entrance. The alien attacks her. Roth fires again, forcing the creature to release her, but it's already too late. Gravely wounded, Clare takes her final breaths and asks Roth to get everyone out of the desert before she dies. Roth is consumed by rage. When Trapper regains consciousness and blames Clare for everything, Roth points his gun at him. Trapper dares him to pull the trigger, but Roth restrains himself and lowers the weapon. Roth asks Lewis to check outside. Lewis confirms that the creature is gone for now. Roth decides that everyone will stay inside the cabin until the rescue chopper arrives in the morning. Later, as the tension settles, Courtney rests her head on Roth's shoulder and notices him staring at a photo of his family. She gently asks about it. Roth reveals that he was 12 when his parents died in a car accident. After that, he was raised by Uncle Bert in summer. Morning arrives. The group begins preparing, packing their belongings and waiting anxiously. Soon, the rescue chopper appears in the distance, bringing a wave of relief over everyone. Roth and Lewis check the radio, no static. As the helicopter lands, Tom exits and inquires with Roth about Bert and Clare. Roth responds in a frigid manner that they are all in deep trouble, which leaves Tom bewildered. Roth attempts to clarify the situation regarding the attack, but Tom's suspicions rise, leading him to think that they may have killed Bert and Clare. Ignoring them, Tom moves to the cabin and freezes when he sees Clare's lifeless body under a sheet. With no other choice, Roth holds him at gunpoint and insists they're innocent, promising to explain everything on the way. Reluctantly, Tom agrees. Everyone boards the chopper, believing they've finally escaped. But suddenly, the aircraft starts malfunctioning. Before anyone can react, the alien attacks. Roth fires at it midair, but the creature remains unharmed. It lashes out and attacks Mika, throwing everyone into panic. One by one, they begin jumping out of the chopper to save themselves. In a final desperate act, the alien impales Tom with its tentacle. But before dying, Tom crashes the chopper into a hill, triggering a massive explosion. From a distance, Roth, Courtney, Lewis, and Trapper watch the wreckage, convinced the creature has finally been destroyed. They begin to move on. Trapper tells Roth and the others that his ankle is broken and begs them to stop. Roth walks up to him and coldly says he can't carry him. Fueled by anger and desperation, Trapper grabs a twig and attacks Roth. A brutal fight breaks out between them. Roth, filled with rage, tells him that no one cares whether he lives or dies. Meanwhile, somewhere deep in the desert, the alien emerges from the debris alive. Roth and the others arrive at Aunt Summer's house. Summer anxiously asks about Clare and Bert. Roth delivers the devastating news they're dead and immediately asks for her help. He takes her inside and explains everything, that a deadly alien creature is loose in the desert, responsible for all the killings. Though confused and shaken, Summer realizes she has no choice but to believe him. She quickly tries to contact the sheriff, but the call is filled with heavy static. Roth quickly realizes that the creature has followed them. At the same time, Trapper secretly plans to escape. He steals Summer's truck and tries to flee. Roth chases after him and manages to jump onto the truck, but Trapper throws him off and speeds away. Moments later, the alien charges toward the vehicle and crashes into it. It drags Trapper out, lifting him helplessly into the air, before brutally impaling him through the chest. The creature then heads toward a nearby cabin, where Courtney is hiding. Roth regains consciousness shortly after. Summer tells him what happened, that Trapper is dead and Courtney has been taken. Roth is devastated. Determined to save her, he decides to head back to the cave. Lewis hands him a set of homemade pipe bombs, saying they might be useful against the creature. Without wasting a second, Roth jumps onto an ATV and speeds into the desert. Soon, he reaches the cave and ventures inside. There he comes across Wee's dried, lifeless body. Moving deeper, Roth finally finds Courtney alive, but barely. An alien offspring is attached to her, feeding on her blood. Thinking fast, Roth tells her to run the moment he fires. Roth shoots the creature. The gunshot echoes through the cave and summons the mother. She arrives, sees her dead offspring, and her rage intensifies beyond control. Roth throws a pipe bomb towards the mother alien, triggering a massive explosion that buries her under debris. Seizing the moment, he helps Courtney onto the ATV and escapes. The alien mother tries to get hold of them but fails to catch up. Back at the house, Lewis and Summer prepare a backup plan, assuming Roth might not return. To their surprise, Roth does. With Courtney, Lewis quickly explains the setup: electrified wires carrying 2,000 volts designed to fry the creature. If that fails, gasoline-filled drums will ignite and finish the job. But there's a catch. Roth has to act as bait. As Lewis fills a tank with gasoline, the alien suddenly appears behind him and attacks, sending him flying. Roth immediately steps in, drawing the creature's attention. Courtney joins him, helping distract it. Roth jumps onto the ATV and successfully lures the alien into the electrified wires. The creature is hit with a massive shock and collapses. But it's not dead. Instead, it rises, more furious than ever. Just then, Aunt Summer arrives in an excavator loaded with gasoline tanks. Ignoring Roth's warnings, she drives straight into the creature, forcing it into the trap. A massive explosion follows. But Summer sacrifices her life in the blast. For a moment, it seems over. Then the creature emerges from the flames, horribly injured but still alive, now missing an arm. It stalks Roth, ready to kill. At the last second, Courtney opens fire, distracting it. Roth seizes the opportunity and shoves a pipe bomb into the creature's hollow abdomen. Seconds later, the explosion tears it apart. This time, it's truly dead. A wave of relief washes over them when they find out Lewis is still alive. Soon after, the police show up at the scene. In the distance, a faint radio crackles, still buzzing with static, revealing that the story is far from over.